There's no sugarcoating, there's no silver lining to the jobs report I'm going to walk you through. So if you're not ready to look at something that's going to be incredibly depressing, save this video and you can come back and watch it later. They revised the jobs report for May and June down by 260 jobs. That essentially means that they have hired an average of 35,000 people a month for the last 3 months. This is the worst jobs report. It's the worst economic data since the pandemic. And actually, as I say that, I just actually did think of one small silver lining, so I'm going to tell you that at the end. And Andrew, who publishes the finance newsletter, has more on this, so I would recommend checking that out. But he actually says that this is the weakest 3 month period since the Great Recession. It's also worth noting that Trump's response to this was to fire the person who is compiling these statistics because he doesn't like what the data is saying. And this is also scary because it essentially means that whoever moves into this job is going to have an incentive to misrepresent the data. So we may not have factual data on the job market in the future. Like here and here. So yeah, none of this is very good on multiple levels. But I did actually think of a couple of silver linings, so let me share that with you. One, at least this is out in the open now because it has felt a little bit like gaslighting when what people's lived experiences is that this job market sucks, and yet you keep hearing this data and seeing this data that tells you it's great. As the data is increasingly matching reality, that means they're going to have to take some sort of action. For example, one of the reasons that interest rates have stayed so high is because the job market was so strong. So if the job market is actually not as strong, then that would be cause to reduce the interest rates. Additionally, CEO optimism is actually on the rise. Now, this is partially rising because it took a huge hit back when the tariffs were announced in March and April. However, it's getting back to where it was in 2024, and maybe that means that optimism will drive a little bit more hiring. But you know what? If nothing else, for everyone that has been struggling in this job market, this should be extremely validating that your struggles are real, even if they weren't always reflected in the data.